We've got a fun AFC West matchup here as the Denver Broncos are looking to keep their playoff hopes alive as they host the Los Angeles Chargers here. We're going to break down the game and provide our predictions. But before we do that, help us reach our goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers by the end of the year. It's less than a week away. Very easy. Just subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want, like this video, leave a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win. And Ryan, this game here, your Broncos or your Patriots kind of dash the Broncos. Actually, I'll take that. Let me rephrase that. The Broncos dash their playoff hopes by kind of giving that game away against your Patriots here. The muff fumble that was then also recovered in the end zone, the kickoff getting down 2 scores, then somehow coming back and your Patriots were trying to give it away. And then the Broncos just let Bailey Zappi kind of pull a Tom Brady, and then y'all kicked a smooth 57-yarder a mile high. And that I think that I think did it for them because there's just too many teams in front of them in too many situations. A lot of teams at 8-7. I think there's 4 teams at 8-7 that are in front of them now. With the Bills, they're kind of locked in at the playoff spots since they're 9-6, one game ahead of those teams. And the Broncos, it's been a very unique season to watch here. What is your overall thoughts on the Broncos? I mean, they obviously improved from 2022 and Russell Wilson and everything, but how much did they really improve? Or were they just doing phenomenal game management and just winning games in kind of the ugliest way?
So I feel like this was one thing that we talked about with the Steelers was like the Steelers played good defense and then they had like explosive plays. They didn't have like the solid drives. They just had like explosive plays. And I feel like that's what the Broncos were, was they would play good defense and set up their offense well. And then like every now and then Russell Wilson would throw like a 40-yard touchdown or like a dot to Cortland Sutton in the end zone against the Bills when he literally was millimeters from being out of bounds. Mm-hmm. And like I feel like they had a lot of those plays and they still just really struggled to like piece drives together. And so that for me, I think is just coaching. I think this offense, it really struggles like personnel wise. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but like they just don't seem to gel well together. And one thing too is like I think Russell Wilson, wow, he's much better than he was last season, but he was literally like he was statistically the worst quarterback in the league last year. I still just don't think that he's that good in and out of each down. And again, like I said, he makes explosive plays. But other than that, I feel like they're keeping a lot of things like to screen passes or really high percentage throws that most quarterbacks in the league could make. And then again, like his stats are kind of supplemented by a few explosive plays a game.
Right. Like looking at his stats now and I mean, and also like stats don't mean everything, but I think it kind of helps paint the picture a little bit. He's barely averaging over 200 yards per game, and he has a 66.4 completion percentage. And I'd be curious to see if you could look it up here real quick. Like, how does that 66.4 completion percentage rank amongst everybody? Because I agree with you, where it's like just come to my mind. It feels like it is a lot of like dink and dunk type plays, not anything too methodical down the field. And I think you can make an argument like maybe Jerry Jeudy's overrated, maybe Cortland Sutton's overrated, and they just haven't. and maybe they were overhyped a little bit to begin with. But at the same time, though, too, I mean, if we want to talk about overhype, as I say that, like Russell Wilson seems like the most overhyped. That was the most overhyped trade maybe in NFL history or of recent memory.
He's 10th in the NFL in completion percentage.
Okay, so that's actually pretty good. Top 10 in completion percentage is pretty good. But I think you compare that up then with his overall total stats of just over 3,000 passing yards. I think it does show us a lot of dink and dunk, a lot of high percentage throws. And they just don't have that explosiveness overall. It's like, and the defense has really been what has been keeping them in games, especially the second half of the season.
Yeah, no, I mean, that for me, especially in the beginning of the year when this offense was really simple, and they have built it up a little bit as the season's gone on, but it's been really high percentage throws, screen plays, trying to get the ball into the hands of some of the top playmakers. and then taking shots with 50-50 balls to Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy down the field. And then occasionally Marvin Mims breaks free, and then they hit him down the field. But that to me really has been what that offense was, and it's just on Sunday against the Patriots, like they only hit those on the final 2 drives when they scored their touchdowns. Other than that, they really didn't hit anything all game. So that for me is just kind of the Broncos offense. This defense is good. They don't get the most amount of quarterback pressure, especially after they traded Bradley Chubb last year to the Dolphins. He was kind of the biggest pass rusher, the most explosive pass rusher that they had. And I don't think they have a bad pass rush per se. They're just not that explosive in the league. Also, the secondary with Kareem Jackson going out, outside of Pat Surtain, they're not very good.
Yeah.
And
I will say, I've said this a lot, and now they gave up 448 yards to the Lions in week 15, and then 353 in week 13 to the Texans, and then then there's a couple other games actually post-bye where they've given up a lot. But I think some of their numbers too, where overall where they rank like in yards allowed, I think has been inflated from early season struggles defensively in yards allowed. I like that game against Miami. I can get brought up. I think much time 726. That's 2 games worth of yards. Oh, hey there. That's 2 games worth of yards. In one game. Then the game before that, they gave up nearly 400 to the Commanders. The next game, they gave up 471 to the Bears. Game after that was 407 to the Jets. Like, not really great teams at all outside of Miami, obviously. I mean, where they gave up all these yards. So I think their numbers are inflated overall. This second half, this defense and the Broncos team, that really has what's been keeping them in games. Like, it kept them in the game against Buffalo, kept them in the game against Minnesota. Shut down this Browns offense, and that was a DTR game for the Browns. Honestly, fought hard against the Texans, but came up just short there. Lions game, they sucked. And then the Patriots game, they held them to 289 yards. But if it wasn't for that muffed kickoff, they kept that Patriots offense in check, which isn't hard to do, obviously. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So let's move on to the Chargers just for a little bit here because we were talking about this game. And Chargers, I think everybody's playing for a roster spot in 2024, trying to figure out what they want to do or put game film out there if they're trying to go somewhere else and get contracts. I liked what I saw from them against the Bills. They fought really hard. Just playing for pride, I totally respect that. Who do you think? I'll just tell it to who do you think would be good? Would be a good candidate for this head coaching job? Because if I'm an offensive coordinator or a college coach just want to come up, I'm looking at this Chargers team, and I think it is a hot destination to go to. You got Justin Herbert, who I think is a top 7 at worst quarterback in the league. You have a good receiving room. You honestly have a good defensive setup. Derwin James, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa. You have a good – it's not the Samuel Jr. as well. I totally forgot about him. But Brandon Staley just couldn't do anything with it. They have so many close losses. Yeah. Who immediately comes to your mind about some potential candidates that could take over that job?
I mean, Ben Johnson, I think, would have a field day in that system. The one that I think that isn't an offensive coordinator would be Bill Belichick, just because you look at this team, they're always in close games. And I feel like if you really want a coach that's going to push you over the edge, Bill Belichick is that coach, just in the sense of this cat is very cute, but we've been making these videos all day and he has been in my lap all day. I put him down so many times. Bill Belichick he's going to always put your team in the best situation to win. The biggest thing is I'm really curious if he goes to LA, do they give him GM duties as well and give him player personnel powers? Because that, to me, I think is where he's really gone wrong in New England. And I think if you can get him as just the coach, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting because what he has done with the Patriots defense this year after losing Gonzalez and Matt Judon, and now you're giving him that Chargers defense with all this talent. And then if you keep Kellen Moore on as the offensive coordinator, who I think is
Or bring in Josh McDaniels, who's looking for a job.
He was also looking for a job, potentially so.
Yeah.
And so, love to go up against the Raiders and get some revenge. That'd be very interesting. But I think that's actually I think that would be very interesting to kind of think about and just kind of see how that would unravel. So let's get into our predictions here. But before we do that, haven't already and you're still with us, one, thank you. But like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified whenever we create new content. Trying to get to 2333 in our subscriber count, about 75 away last we checked. And Ryan, who do you have winning this game and why?
I'm going to go with the Broncos. I just think they're the better team. Usually when a team gets a new coach, we kind of saw this with the Raiders, although Antonio Pierce actually looks like he knows what he's doing right now. But like even with the Panthers, the first week without Frank Reich, they came out and played really hard, and I believe got their first win. And then the Raiders came out the next week and got a much-needed win that they hadn't had in a long time. And so I think they had that close, like, oh, we'll go out and play really hard for the new guy game against the Bills, where it was 24-22. They were able to keep it close. And actually, I believe, had the ball with a chance to win at the end of the game. But I think that's kind of past. They're going to Denver, and the last time these two teams played, Denver absolutely mollywopped this offensive line and just this offense in general. They had very little production. This time, Easton Stick will have a full week to kind of prepare. But I think what Denver did last time is going to be really hard for even a full week of preparation to kind of go against.
Yeah. Mollywopped. That's a new word for the for the channel.
I don't know if it's a real word, but
it is now. And so it's on the internet forever. I'm also going to go with Denver as well. I could see the Chargers. This is where it's like hard picking Denver games just because there's not nothing that super excites me about it. But at the same time, though, too, I kind of agree with you. I think they're just going to be more consistent overall. So I'm going to go with the Broncos on this one.
Yeah. So we're both taking Denver and Russell Wilson somehow. But let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Help Town reach our goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers. We'd be very appreciative if we could get to that by the end of the year. And leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this AFC West matchup. Will it be the Los Angeles Chargers? Will it be the Denver Broncos? Other than that, we will see you guys next time.